All right. Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hot Off the Press. I still have the little clicker countdown going. I'm going to take that off and trash it out of here. There we go. Hey, today, pretty excited. We've got, some fun stuff. I've got Jesper Nissen from all the way from Denmark is on, and he's yes, all the way from Denmark, and, Jesper is gonna talk about his new product, and hopefully I'm gonna turn the screen over and let him demo, hopefully for us, SchemaWriter AI, and maybe walk through, just how he does it. Yeah, so let me pull
All right.
Jesper
And
in here.
am I going to share my screen? Because then I need to close some stuff here.
Yeah.
Uh, Hold
Well, I
on.
would love for you to share your screen. I think that
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
great.
I would love to do that. I just need to just. Okay, I'm good.
I have to think, I don't know how. I think somewhere you can do shared screen on your
Let's see
end of
here.
it.
Let's see here. 2 seconds.
Uh,
Where
I
do
know
I
I've
share?
I know I've done it in the past. So while you're looking at that, I'm also going to say, hey, folks, thanks for joining us today. And if you would like, share, click on the thumbs up, any of that fun stuff, go tell all your friends today. We got Jesper on as a guest. We're going to walk through his new product. SchemaWriter.ai to help you fully automate with some customization. So I'm not going to necessarily say it's fully automated. It will automate the code, but you got to put in some content, obviously, some customization of your company and what have you, and all of those kinds of things. So it's not a complete automation, not like you might find like in rank math or some of those other kinds of things that give you a very thin schema. This is going to be something a little better. Terry, good morning, my man. Good to see you. Thanks for jumping on.
Good morning, Terry.
I
I'm
was
still
just
trying.
sharing.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still trying to find out where I can share.
Oh,
Oh, I
so
found it to the left.
yes. So So I've got. You just have to tell me which one. I'm looking at your screens. You have to tell me which one. But before we go on, we'll even chat just a couple of minutes here. So, Terry, before we jumped on, I was sharing with Jesper that I have a couple of different thoughts around schema. So if it's a client site, it's a site that is ultra important to us. This is when I reach out to my man Terry and I said, "Hey, brother, I need your expertise on this. That
Yeah.
you're awesome on," and Terry and his team do a fantastic job. And then otherwise, if it's a different kind of a site, maybe not as critical. I want it to do well. I know I need to have some kind of schema. I've relied on the past now these would be for maybe like some maybe custom PBN sites that we have, some of our news sites, some of our lead gen sites. I may not employ the full on schema press, but I do know it's important and we want schema, and I'm looking for something better than rank math
Yeah.
or better than Yoast.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm so excited about your product, Jesper, and what you are putting together here. I'm gonna flick this thing on, and so that people can see. And let me go out, and I'm gonna drop this into the chat so people can go check it out. And I'll, before we have you run through the demo on this thing, Jesper, I will, and there's the link, folks. You want to go check it out, SchemaWriter.ai. Hey, Pamela, good to see you on. Thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it. All right, my man, Elder. Woo, there he is.
Hey, hello, Elder.
All right, thanks for jumping on, Elder. Appreciate it. Good to see you, brother. Yeah, so before we jump on and we start talking about the SchemaWriter or showing the demo on it, give us a little background, Jesper. The mad scientist behind the project, right? And yes, you're going to go pick your physics book up. There we are.
I can see it's
Einstein. Yes.
Yeah, it's Einstein.
That is a great book, by the way. I have been to Jesper's house last year. Earlier this year, we did the great Yaks conference. Jesper, such a great host, had us all over at his house. And I am a book guy. I'm a bookophile. And so I like to look at people's bookshelves and wonder, do you really read any of these things, or are they just there, or what's the story? And I was looking at Jesper's and we're like, wow, Jesper, you got some fun stuff here, because Jesper is a mathematician, a physicist as well, taught physics. So I got the background. So after I saw some of the books on his shelves, I'm like, who's reading these physics books? And Jesper gave me a little more of his background. And my son is very much into physics and will major at university in physics as well. So I have somewhat of a knowledge of physics as I talk with my son, and I knew some of those books that Jesper has. So anyway, the reference to the mad scientist behind SchemaWriter. Sorry for jumping on and just yapping away. All right, so Jesper, talk to us about SchemaWriter.
All right. Well, okay. So I've been writing my own schema code for at least 4 years. And for like you know how time consuming it can be. We talked about that before we started this live stream. And writing your own schema code is just super duper time consuming, because for each line that you write, you actually have to copy the code, go over to the schema validator, and then validate it, because you don't want to make any errors. You don't want to make any mistakes, because then it doesn't validate by Google. They don't understand what it's about. And it's just super time consuming. So, but ever since I launched Yaks, actually last year, it's almost 2 years ago, I actually had the most of the schema part actually automated. And I was thinking all along of, creating a standalone schema application, because we do have the local business and web page and all of that schema built into Yaks, all automated in the background. It's not something that people think about or see, but it's all automated. It's already there. So I was thinking all along of how could I kind of like take that out of Yaks and make it as a standalone product, because it's something that I use for my own blog posts. It's something that we use for our clients, and it's something that I use for my websites, the lead gen websites we have here in Denmark. And now we have OpenAI, so I thought, well, why not combine the automation of the schema part with the content production from the OpenAI. So, and then, you have a lot of APIs coming from Google, and you have the Wikipedia API, and you have the Wikidata API. You have a lot of APIs that you can actually utilize. So I thought, well, why not? I have a knowledge of how to automate schema writing, because we do that in Yaks. Why not automate the entity extraction part and reverse engineering of the top results, and combine that with the OpenAI content machine that we already also have in Yaks, and make that into the schema application. And that is the essence of SchemaWriter. So SchemaWriter is the reason that I call it SchemaWriter and not just schema builder or something like that, generic. It's because it produces the schema and it writes the content also for you, or some content. But the goal is actually produce schema loaded with entities, ranking keywords, produce an article also loaded with the same ranking entities and keywords. We're not there yet, but we're not there now, but that's the goal actually. So what we have now is we have an application where you have a blog post and you want to rank that blog post. So what you do is you go into SchemaWriter, you enter the keyword, you enter your target URL, that's your blog post, and also the country, and then it goes out to scrape the top results of Google, the top 10 results. And we're using the Google Search API for that. So you're scraping the top 10 search results, and then it's extracting all of the content from these websites. That's ranking number 1 to 10. And it's extracting all of the entities, and it's also extracting all of the ranking keywords, the so-called YAKE keywords, Y-A-K-E, YAKE keywords. And so you have the content, you have the entities, and you have the ranking keywords. And we then combine that into web page schema. So the YAKE keywords, we put those into the keyword section of the web page schema. And the entities, we put them into the about and the mention section of the web page schema. And then we write the FAQ schema also. And let me jump over. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, hold on a second. Yes, I can. Let me click that one. I'm gonna let me shut off some of mine. Yeah, go ahead and put your screen back on. There you go. I'm gonna shut that one off. Yep, hold on. I'm gonna turn that screen on, and then I'm going to, let's see, let me put it kind of the front end, hopefully.
Yeah.
So it's in that, there we are. So now it's in the larger, and let me do it in a little different. That way, going to be, that's about as big as I can get it, actually. Let me, I'll, you know what I'll do? I'll make it solo so that we just see your screen. So you're still talking, but now that screen is larger. All right. Yeah, and folks, by the way, as Jesper goes through, you have some questions, certainly throw them up on the chat, and we'll get to these things too. All right, take it away, Jesper.
Okay, so the thing is, let me just generate a report. So for my own website, SEO courses, for example.
Yeah. So this is the back end. This is the back end.
So what you're seeing here, so what you're seeing here is the back end. So we just close this. So it's. I tried to simplify this as much as possible. For those of you that have seen the YAKS backends, let me just show you how advanced this is now. It's the YAKS backend is, I mean, in the beginning, the YAKS backend was not like this. In the beginning, the YAKS backend was super duper simplified. But I mean, what we have now is, I mean, even for me, and I designed it, so many options, and I didn't want to repeat that. I wouldn't call it a mistake in SchemaWriter, but I wouldn't want to repeat that complexity. So what I did was I thought, well, how can we simplify this? Well, first of all, the company information that you are basing your local business schema on, we added this database where you can add all of the information for your company, you know, automotive business, all of these information here, and then you can see the schema live over here to the right. And the advantage of doing it like that is that when you are generating your report, your schema reports, you only need to enter the contact information and the company information one time.
Nice.
So so it's when you generate a new report here, let's say it's SEO courses, add my website is jespernissen.com, and I select my company, then Jesper Nissen SEO, that's my company, and then I select my country is United States, and I'm clicking generate. So you can see here, so all of these companies, of course, test companies besides my own company, but all of these companies, these are the companies that I generated over here. So I only need to enter this information one time. And we know, and this is a good thing because we know how, when you build these schema files in hand, you know how time consuming it is. You know, logo URL, Google Business Profile URL, longitude, latitude, all of that stuff. You know how time consuming it is. Also citations. You know, you need to add, you find all your citations and the opening hours and all of that. Just, I mean, it's just super duper time consuming. So anyway, so now it's generating in the background. So what it's doing now, it's, as I told you in the beginning, it's now scraping the top 10 search results for content. And it's using the Google APIs for that. And it's extracting the entities and the ranking keywords. And once it's done with that, it is I just did it before I went live. Click on this report. So this is the report that you will see. And so that's the output. So all of this schema code here, roots. So this is the web page schema, and this is the local business schema, and same as here. And you have the FAQ schema, and then you have the product schema. So all of this is the output. And the interesting thing about this output is that it's not, I mean, if you have a schema template on your computer as a file, saved as a file, web page schema template.txt, a text file. What you would normally do is in the description, you would write that in hand. The keywords, you would go to your keyword research tool and add these keywords in hand. And the entities, probably in the about section, probably if you're doing this in hand, probably you would typically not do this, but you could use topical relevance. It's the go-to tool that most people use if they don't have a way of doing this in hand. Or I know that On-Page AI by Eric Lanchers, he also has a tool, On-Page AI, where he also extracts these entities. But it's a difficult part to actually extract these entities, and the reason that it's difficult is that this thing, for example, algorithm. So if you go to Wikipedia, and search for algorithm here. So this is the English or American, but let's say English page for Wikipedia. So this is the canonical page for the keyword, for the word algorithm. And so what we are doing is we are extracting all the known entities in this case, my website, and the competitors' website, the top 10 competitors' websites. We're extracting the entities, and then we're making an educated guess for you. So we are placing the top ranking entities, or the entities that are the most correlated with rankings. We're placing them in the about, and then we're placing the rest in the mentions. And the about section is a special section because it actually tells Google what this web page is about. So you need to, in order for Google to really understand this, in order for Google to really connect the dots, let's see here, marketing, for example. So you actually need the keywords, you need the description, and this is coming from Wikipedia, and then you need the three samas that we are, 2 or 3 samas, as many samas as possible. And so what you're telling Google is that this keyword is the same as the content in this page. It's the same as the content in this page, and it's the same as the content in this page. And this URL is very interesting because we can go over here and look at this. So now this is Danish because I'm in Denmark, but I close this. So this is the knowledge panel in the Google search engine for the keyword marketing. You see there's a link to Wikipedia, and the URL looks special because it says search is $Q is equal to marketing, and KGMID is equal to, and then this code. And the advantage of doing this is that you're connecting what Google knows to be their own definition of marketing with Wikidata's definition of marketing and Wikipedia's definition of marketing. And then you're placing it in your page. So you're telling Google, well, these 3 authority pages, they know what I know, or I know what they know. So that's what the page is about. That's an unambiguous definition of that's what this page is about. So we do that for the about and the mentions. And in the keyword section is a privacy policy. That's a keyword I typically delete, of course. But in the 8 keywords, that's what you see up here. These are some of them will be entities as recognized by Google, for example, SEO, and some of them will not be recognized entities as recognized by Google. But the thing is, and what I see in my testing is that it's very, very, very good to include many keywords. How many? Who knows? I mean, I don't have the answer. What we're doing is we are reverse engineering, and then we're placing the top correlating keywords in here, and you can add more. No, just
so that is a question too. Have you experimented, run some tests around, just as in anything, and I know you did this with Yaks, early on where you were creating 100-page sites or more, right? And in Yaks. And then after some trial and tribulations, you realize, like, really kind of the 5 to 7 page stacks really works the best. And now I have to be honest with you, in my mind, when you were doing the 100, I'm like, that's way too many damn paint. That doesn't seem like, that seems like way overkill. And so I think the most we ever did on any was probably like 15 or 20. And then, I don't know, at some point you were like, yeah, maybe 5 to 7 is better. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense. But I wonder, like this with the keywords as well. Like,
so
have you experimented? Like, hey,
I have done some testing on it. It's still early days, but I have done some testing on it. And I've done testing in the construction niche, in the moving niche, and other niches for lead gen sites, not my own sites, but sites that some guys voluntarily gave me. And I actually did not touch this part. I did not add the keywords. I did not remove any of the keywords. And when it comes to the about, I did prune the about section, because, for example, now my target URL is jespernissen.com. So typically I would probably not mention competing brands like Coursera. I saw Coursera. That seems to be a competing brand. I wouldn't mention competing brands. But I mean, who knows? What I typically do is actually I don't prune that too much. And in this expert.
Now, as you're rolling through this, I do want to highlight something here. This is one of the things that probably intrigued me the most, which is your ability to go in. So once it's created and written, your ability to go in very easily and customize. You can either delete some of those things, the about or the mentions, or you can add in additional ones. And I've not seen that anywhere else, and to make it so easily done. And I love that about the program and how you've constructed it. So you're utilizing the AI to go out and build this stuff for you. But oftentimes what I've seen in some other kinds of things, like, like rank math as an example, you don't have, I've got to go in to the site and hard delete, if something doesn't look right, if I don't want it. But here you've really have like maximized the depth of the about or the mentions, but then also very easily be able to go in and edit it.
And the thing is, for example, for social media, if I think that, well, it is, I'm doing courses in link building, and it's somehow related to social media, but I don't want this page to be about social media, but I do mention social media. Where is it? I do mention social media in the page. So then I can easily move social media from about to mentions. So now it's down here in mentions, and I can move it back again if I made a mistake, of course.
I love that.
And so the thing is also, there's a sneaky trick, because let me find the search engine optimization, for example. So let's say this entity is placed in the about section on the web page schema for the target URL. So let's say that I'm sneaky. What I would then do is I would then say, well, HTTPS. Jesper Nissen.
You put in your own.
What you're then doing is that you're actually telling Google that this is an authoritative, of course, because that's actually that.
Sure.
And Wikidata and Wikipedia, and then
Sure. Oh, that's nice. I hadn't even thought about that. And
so that's what I'm doing. I'm, for the most important entities, I'm actually trying to establish a topical authority for, other pages. I'm in this way, you're actually connecting the dots on your own website, because now I'm actually optimizing for the homepage, but I can actually make connected dots and somehow draw authority in from the subpage. And I'm actually telling Google that this subpage is an authoritative source of knowledge when it comes to search engine optimization on the same level as this. And
that is brilliant. That is a great little trick. I love that.
It's a great little trick, and that's what I'm doing. And down here, I want to show you something else, and just collapse these guys here. So if you don't want to include, for example, FAQ schema because you already have it, or product schema, or local business schema because it's not the local business, you just do like this, and then it's not included in the output. But let me just put it back again so we can see.
Yeah.
So down here in the FAQ, so this is very interesting, because what we're actually doing is we are grabbing the entities, and then we're producing content in the FAQ schema. And the content we have here, so we have it here, we also have it over here in the content section. So all of these are H2, they are headings, and this is just an ordinary P tag. So you have the H2, and then you have the P tag. So what I have done in my testing is I've grabbed the schema code here, and I've grabbed the content here and placed it in the bottom. And what that does is that they actually recognized entities up here in the headers. Cloud computing is an recognized entity. SEO is, SEO and search engine optimization, and so on and so forth.
Hey, I have a question for you. So you, do you think, is it necessary to take the content, so like you have here, the content FAQs, and put it on a page? So as an example, maybe you don't want this particular FAQ residing on your homepage, but you want it in the schema. Is it still valuable to I'm going to put it in my schema, even though those FAQ, that content is not necessarily on my page?
Well, the FAQ schema is actually meant to mark up existing content. Right. So what they're saying in schema.org is you need the content inside of the FAQ schema verbatim on your page. So if you have, so here the question is, what are SEO courses and why they're important in cloud computing? And then you have the answer. So you actually need the content here on the page itself. So that's what they write. So I must admit, I have not done testing on adding FAQ schema without the content. So let's say that you run a report and you want to optimize a page for this keyword, SEO courses.
Right.
And then if I choose to include, the FAQ and the outputs, I would also for sure take this, because what it actually establishes is you're actually adding entities that are known to correlate with ranking. You're actually adding these entities into your content, because you have entities both in the headers, but you also have entities in the P tags in the paragraphs here. So you can choose to add this content in the bottom of the page. That's what people typically do, or you can add it in the middle or in the top, or you can just sprinkle it out throughout the content. That's of course up to you. But so what we're working on now is that when you optimize this, for example, what are SEO courses and why are they important in cloud computing and marketing, for example, because I want one more entity. So what we're working on now is when we update here, it will also be, it's actually already deployed. You can see. When you're updating the FAQ scheme, you're actually also updating the content over here. You can see this whole little trick. And I have done testing with this, and in my testing, I've tried this method of generating the web page schema and all that you can see here, and also the content. And then for some web pages, I've I've inserted the schema as it is and the content as it is. And for other web pages, I've inserted only the schema. And I see ranking improvements for both, but I see greater ranking improvements for the websites where I both insert the schema and the content. Because what you're actually doing is you are reverse engineering the top websites for that search term, and then you're actually answering the question: what entities and keywords do I need in my content to rank as high as possible on page 1 or 2 or 3 or wherever it is that you are ranked? And the answer is so these are the entities. These are the entities on your own page, and these are the entities from your competitor. There are more entities. We just cropped the list for now, at least.
So I have a question for you on the entities piece, because I was just looking at, I have the SchemaWriter up on my other computer over here. I'm looking at the one that we created over the weekend. So on the entities, I have the question in. So the entities that I have sitting, so when I look at the on-page entities and the competitor entities, is the schema pulling the entities from the competitors or what? I'm looking at that and I'm wondering what's the, do I modify those entities and build those up more on the on-page entities, or I'm curious how I use this information.
So currently what we are doing is we are mixing the entities from the target website and then from the competitors.
Okay.
And we're mixing them into the web page schema. So we are putting a mix into the about and into the mentions.
Okay.
And the amount of entities that correlates the highest with rankings are put into the about, and the not so high correlating with ranking entities are put into the mentions. So what we are currently doing is we are grabbing more entities than these. I think it's 40 entities or something like that. But that's an arbitrary limit that I just put, because there are more entities than this. We're just not showing the entities. Right now, what you would do is that you would actually grab all of these entities, both these guys here and these guys here, and then you would make sure that they are in your content. Because I don't know if you saw the Eric Langers from On-Page AI. He did the piece on entities and ranking. Did you see that?
So I may have seen that. I've seen a lot of his stuff and demonstrations with the On-Page AI. Certainly know about the entities and the importance of that within ranking and utilizing it. I mean, I've utilized it in some other products aside from On-Page, but yeah.
Yeah, so actually, what we're missing now here from this, and that's actually what you're asking about. How do I know what entities are in this content? And right now you don't, because we don't have the right box over here, but we are working on adding a box over here to the right, so you can see entities, and you will be able to see the entity gap. And the entity gap is the entities that, or the entities that a competitor has minus the entities that you have. That's the entity gap. And in the entity gap, you want the top 10, 20, 30, whatever correlating entities with ranking. You want them in your content. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, technical SEO. I don't think I'm mentioning technical SEO in my website. Or I know I'm not in my homepage. I'm not mentioning that. But at least one of the competitors, they are mentioning this keyword. It's actually a very good keyword or a very good entity to have in your content. So this would be in the entity gap, the technical SEO. And I would be very careful to make sure to actually the value of technical SEO and so on. I would be very careful to actually be able to add these entities in the entity gap, because alone by adding this content, just by adding this, just random OpenAI content with the entities, I see ranking improvements just by adding this. And if I was able to identify the entity gap, which we are because we already have it, and then auto-generate the missing content with the missing entities and add that to your page, then you will see even potentially higher ranking improvements.
Sure.
So so that's where we are headed with the content editor. So this is a very early stage content editor, but it will be more advanced, kind of like the Neuron Writer editor, and I think that also perhaps Phrase has a content editor. I'm not sure if it's keywords or entities that they have in Phrase, but
yeah. Well, there's so many really good tools right now for content creation and entity creation. ScaleNet is another great tool. I don't know if you've looked at that product as well, but
I missed the lifetime deal on that because that's actually a very good product, ScaleNet.
Yeah, I picked that one up on the. I'm a good lifetime deal addict. I generally pick a lot of those things up.
Me too. Yeah, I just want to know. I just want to show you because I'm not sure if you actually saw this, Randy, but you can actually add your own objects or your own fields into the schema because we have the predefined fields that we have that I have added into.
Oh, I didn't see that. Where did you do? Oh, right there.
You click here on add new property, and then you can determine what type of field that you want to add. So yeah, it's just a detail, but a good detail. Yeah. Yeah. So this is I can actually, if you take the screen, I can actually find an example of a test case. I just need to not show my screen while I search.
Yeah. No, I get it. All right, hold on a second. Let me.
I think I stopped sharing now. Or what?
Yep. Yeah. There you stop sharing, which is fine. Yeah. So I love that. And yeah, I was going to say and I like the other thing too. Now, this is a simple thing, but this is on the dashboard. So if you go back to it, I love the little toggle up at the top where you can do the content in either green or red. So I like seeing the red. You had it in green on yours, but I like seeing it on the red. So it stuck out a little bit easier for me, but it was just a little subtle, detail that was like, oh, that was nice. That was good thinking.
Yeah, I think it's just a random thing, but it's just nice. So let me just take a screenshot of this.
Now I will say as well, I do have a couple of thoughts, and it makes it difficult.
I'm open to suggestions.
Well, this is probably me when I was filling this out because I did this because I wanted to get my hands on it. And like, oh, let me run through this thing. On the company info page, I was looking at it through going down the column of information, like, all right, here's the city. And then I went like city to zip. I'm like, what city zip? What? And I wasn't paying attention to kind of what was in the other column. Like, oh, and then finally, like an idiot. That was just me, the way I was doing it, but probably nobody else ever.
We're actually working on the company information, so we are switching around the fields.
Yeah.
Because can I grab the screen again?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead and throw it up to share, and then I'll.
Yeah, I just need to make sure that I removed all mentions of the brand. I did. Yes. So let me try here. Entire screen.
Right. And then as soon as it's up, there it is. Yeah. Right. Go ahead and put it on your tab. There you go.
Okay. So in here let me just find my own. So some of these fields, like legal name and phone, they're going to be moved up, so they're up here. And legal names, actually, the reason that I chose to include that is because it's included in the organization schema, and we are going to add the organization schema this or next week, but soon anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, and we
Are
also
you
going.
gonna also, just because you kind of hit on that, and I have this question, you mentioned this, which I think was a great practice about putting the schema on the specific blog articles. Are you doing as well article schema so that it's different
Yeah,
than, right?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to implement also service page and article schema or blog. It's called blog post schema.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you can actually. So right now for the web page schema, let me just check this guy here. For the web page schema, you can actually. I don't know if you saw this, but you can actually change if it's if it's a checkout page or about page or medical web page or real estate listing,
Mm-hmm.
and then it updates over here real time. So it's called real estate
Right,
listing.
right.
If this website was about real estate, I would probably have it for this type because there's a specific type for that. And we're going to add service page, organization, article, and or blog post. Probably we're going to have a drop down like I just showed you with the article schema, and then you can determine if you want to use article, blog post, or is it called news page, something like news post, something like that. Yeah, we're going to add that. All right, I want to show you this guy here. So this is an example of a test I did. So this is in the construction niche, and so one of the questions I get asked the most is how do I insert the schema, and what happens if I have existing schema? Because most websites, if it's WordPress, they have either Yoast or they have Rank Math.
Right.
And so for this and for several of the other websites that I tested on, I chose to not remove any schema. So I think that this website used Rank Math schema or Rank Math plugin, the SEO plugin, then it already had some web page and some other local business schema. But I just chose to just include all schema that I had, from SchemaWriter. And you can see here that this keyword, concrete driveways, and then the city name and then price, moved from position 12 to position 4 in page 1. So you have these. So this moved one position up, and this moved from page 2 to page 1, and 3 positions up and 8 positions up. And it wasn't even ranked for this keyword, and now it's in page 2, but it's ranking.
Yeah.
So these are the movements, and this is 14 or 16 days. I just took this screenshot, and it's 16 days in. So 16 or 18 days ago, I started this test on this website, and it's only been moving up, up, up. So typically,
and you didn't do anything else on that site aside from the schema, during that 14 days or so.
No, I didn't do anything. I didn't do any on page. I didn't do any other on page. I didn't do any link building. I didn't build any cloud links. I didn't do anything at all. And also the client was instructed, or the website owner was instructed to not do anything at all. So this is in the construction niche, concrete flooring, and then homes. And the city that we're talking about here has a population of 500,000 people. So that just to show you the size of the city of these keywords. So it's a very competitive niche, the construction niche in his city anyway.
Let me ask a question, because you kind of went over this quick, and I had it in my mind as well. I came up on it, which was, the site that I executed the schema on with your product. Already it had Rank Math schema on it already, and I chose to pull all of the old schema off, the Rank Math schema. I removed that and then dropped yours in. I was thinking I didn't know if it was going to create a conflict. I didn't know exactly, and so I pulled off the old schema. But you're saying you could just go ahead and drop in.
So actually, I tried that on one of the test sites with negative results. So the Rank Math schema is marking. So what the Rank Math schema is doing is actually marking up the entire website.
Right.
With some web page and some interlinking, some linking and stuff, and some basic stuff, which is quite good actually. So what we saw when the website that we did that, what you just mentioned, is that we saw negative results. And we saw negative results because we removed the basic markup on all pages.
On all the other pages, yeah.
Yeah, because what I'm doing here is for this website, they had, was it 8 service pages, I think. And I ran 8 reports, and I inserted the schema and the content on all these 8 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't touch the home page, and I didn't touch the about page. I didn't touch any of the other pages. So I just left, rank map, and with extremely good results, of course.
Oh, and you didn't even put you didn't change the schema on the home page. You didn't put custom schema on those pages.
Didn't do anything. No.
Nice. No.
So I had some other websites that were large websites where I had a siloed website. So, city 1, city 2, city 3. Mm-hmm. So then I wanted to try to see, well, what happens if I only optimize one city? What happens to this city and what happens to the other cities? So the other cities, they didn't move at all, except for random movement like we normally see in Google. And the city pages that I did optimize, most of them also moved up. So you can see, for example, this didn't change, and this moved down one, and then the other moves up. And of course, this didn't change because it was already number 1, but didn't go down. And that's the pattern I see for the websites that we do optimize. Most of them go up, and some of them stay like this, or stay like this. So yeah. But in your case, I would actually activate rank map again.
That's all right. Well, I will go back and turn it back on, and
yeah. I mean, that's what I would do, because otherwise you're probably, you could see positive results, but you could also be seeing no results, and you could also see negative results. So when you are running a report, when you're taking your URL, like let's say if I was taking this URL and running it through the schema validator, if I have multiple web page schemas, you can actually see that the validation tool is actually grouping the web page schemas in one group. And the validation tool, let's actually just do it. Copy. Good. So let's go to, can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
You can see it? Okay. So let's see what it says. Okay, so I didn't put any schema, so that's a very bad example. Do you have a web page where you have schema
on? I do. I don't want to throw it up on
one of my.
Like with yours, with my lead. Yeah.
I actually also have a website, but I just don't want to show them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So let's see. That's the problem. Anyway. So if you have multiple web page schemas, there will be a group called web page, and when you click on that, you will actually see the 3 web page schemas. And when you inspect the output of this, let me just change this to web page. So the interesting thing is when you inspect the output, you can see there's the type called web page, and if I scroll down, there's the type called FAQ page. But FAQ page is a subset of web page. So it's a special type of web page. So you actually, in this, you actually have 2 web page schemas, and Google has no issues at all in understanding. And now we actually, currently we don't see the rich snippet with the FAQ and the SERPs because Google removed that. But if you go back 3 months, then you would actually see rich snippets with the questions below the SERPs. And you would actually also see that web page have both FAQ page and they also have web page. So of course it's better to interlink them, and of course it's better to use the ad ID, and that's also coming with the node interlinking. That's coming, but Google has no problem in understanding this.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting.
I love, so here's one of the things that I love about you, Jesper, and what you have done with Yax as an example as well, which is, you're never done with the product. I don't know how many iterations and continual updates with the acts that you've done. I mean, hundreds, I would imagine. But and that's what I love about it is like you just continually, kind of add and update and modify and make it better and make it more impactful. And I love, so as you're walking through this schema writer and you're like, talking about, hey, we're gonna add this, I'm adding this, we're in the midst of doing this. I'm like, yeah, and so I was excited. You had a great Black Friday deal.
Yeah,
I picked up an annual subscription. I think it
yeah,
was 30% off. I was all happy.
yeah,
And I think you were online even on that day, even like, yeah, I validated it for you. You're good.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's yeah, but you are never done. I love to create tools, and I love this process. I love the idea. I love the process of inventing and automating and making things easier and discovering new things. And the interesting thing is actually I do discover new things that I didn't know when I make tools like this, because I know for a fact that if you put keywords in the knows about section, it's not something that we have now, but it is coming. But there is a special
Yeah.
field called knows about, and I know
Right,
for a
right.
fact that if you put keywords there, you can and will expand your organic reach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the same thing, I did not know how effective this thing with the entities was before I made SchemaWriter. I knew it was effective, but I just didn't know how effective it was.
Yeah.
I think it's very effective, because what I'm thinking now is, okay, so we can get improvements like this with schema and content and entity content. So what happens if I point cloud links to a site like this? Then I get a double effect, because the thing is with link building, you need to build links, on a regular basis.
Right.
But if you build links and you put schema and you put entities in the content, then you can get even further up. That's my next step, what I will be experimenting with.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I was just looking again. I was looking over at my other computer at the schema and looking at it on the schema.org, the validate. I'm like, I love that. That is so great. And you're absolutely right, because as I mentioned earlier, kind of at the start of the show, on when I have Terry like build out a massive custom schema for some of our client sites and stuff, it will be hundreds and thousands of lines of code, of schema code, JSON code.
Yeah,
And they do that exactly what you're saying about the knows about,
yeah,
and just
yeah. It's super.
continually stack it. And it very impactful. Yeah.
It's super effective, and it works. And when you get these schema reports from Terry and insert it, and I'm sure that you will see improvements in organic traffic and also
Yeah.
ranking,
Yeah.
because it works.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, it's fun. It's a fun project.
Well, nice job. Let me I'll throw this back up in here so people can grab it. And let's see, I'm gonna knock your share off as well. So I love it, Jesper. Thanks for jumping on. People can go over here, SchemaWriter.ai, great URL. And if let's see. Oh, I was gonna have you give a little quick plug as well for the next Yaks conference that's coming up next year.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an exciting conference. I'm going to have new speakers this year, like Ferry Kashoni and Julian Goldie, Craig Campbell are coming to talk. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. It's a lot of work, as you can guess. And I know that Terry Samuels, he knows. Yeah, and Elder, I hope that Elder is coming. Actually, Eldar Cohen, with his local dominator, he's our first and only sponsor so far.
Ah, nice.
Thank you for that, Eldar.
Yeah. Well, another great product. I'm a big fan of Local Dominator. We use that for all of our client tracking on stuff. So Elder does a great job with that. Yeah, so the Yaks conference, yeah, I'm disappointed I'm not gonna be able to make it there this year. Hopefully, next year you'll do it again, and I'll make it in 2025 is what
2025.
is what I will look forward to. Should be good. Yeah. And if people, let me flash this up. And if people want to get a hold of you, certainly you can do it on Facebook, through
Facebook
so many different places. I love your YouTube channel as well, and I just dropped that in the chat. They can go hit your YouTube channel. You got a lot of great content over there, and where you talk about all different kinds of fun stuff. And I know you've got a link building course. Is that dropped, or are you getting ready to drop your link building course?
The basic link building course is out now. So
Okay.
the basic do follow link building course. I think it's just fun to make courses, and it's for beginners, so it's not for SEO experts.
Yeah.
Just so that you know, it's I do have some videos in my YouTube channel where I show how to, as an over the shoulder, show how to create do follow backlinks, and that's what I'm doing in my SEO course. So it's not for super duper SEO experts, but but it's out.
It's good stuff. I love it. Well, I appreciate it. Dude, I was going to mention this when I first saw you. You look healthy. You look thin. You look like I've seen some posts of you out running and doing some 5Ks or half marathons. I'm like, Jesper is looking very fit.
I'm actually, I just came back from a run. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I just finished. Actually, today was only 2 kilometers, and it's because I had to get back to the show. But I'm getting in shape now, getting ready for my marathon in May in Copenhagen.
Oh, very fun. Yes. Well, I've run a few marathons in my life as well, and I know it's a process of training. So I always followed the Hal Higdon. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Hal Higdon is a great legacy running trainer and coach, and he has a fabulous marathon training over several weeks. I think you can do it over a 3-month or a 6-month training program in order to prepare for a marathon. Yeah, so go check that out. But training for a marathon, you gotta you put a lot of miles in, and you build up to it.
And these days it's extremely cold here in Denmark, and it's snowing, and it's just icy, and it's just super duper annoying. Super annoying. I hope for warmer weather. That's how it is to live here in Denmark, I know, but it's still,
Yeah, well, good for you. Keep at it, my man. Keep at it. And thank you for putting together SchemaWriter as well. Great tool. Looking forward to seeing the growth and continued use of it. Should be a lot of fun. Appreciate it. And thanks for jumping on too. Thanks for sharing. It's always fun to see some brand new stuff that's out there on the market and getting a glimpse of it. So
thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. Listen, say hey to your wife, Lottie. Good to and the boys, and we'll be in touch. Thanks, Jesper.
Take care. Bye bye.
All right. Bye now.